What's going on, everyone? It's JJ Zachariason, the editor-in-chief at FanDuel and at numberfire.com, here to do the weekly fantasy football Q&A. Of course, going to do some rapid-fire start-sits. I don't think there's a lot of news. The good news is that there weren't any positive tests today, so we are going to have some football. That's great news. It's the best news that we could ask for. I think the big name that was kind of iffy is DJ Chark. Sounds like he's playing, but I'll get to these right away, right now. First question, Cam or Stafford, and then Rams or the Dolphins defense. I'd go with the Dolphins defense. I like them a lot. Cam or Stafford's pretty close. I think Stafford's a little bit safer. Love the matchup against Jacksonville. Cam coming off COVID list. We don't know exactly what he's going to look like. I certainly don't mind him. They're both really good options, but I think Stafford's a little bit safer. Pick 2, Terry McLaurin, A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown, Will Fuller. I don't love the McLaurin matchup today because he's going to get James Bradbury, who's been really good now that he's in New York. I mean, he was good in Carolina too. A.J. Brown also gets somewhat of a rough cornerback matchup. Not terrible, but I would play him, and then I would go with Will Fuller and just go with the game stack. Thanks as always, JJ. Should I start Damian Harris or McKinnon in half PPR? I would go with Damian Harris, I think, and hope that he can see a lot of work on the ground. Godwin, A.J. Brown, Hollywood, or Devontae Parker, pick 2. I would go with Godwin for sure there. I think it's between Parker and Brown. I'd probably lean Brown. Full PPR, DJ Moore, Michael Gallup. I might go with Parker there. Sorry. It's close. Obviously close. Maybe more of a coin flip. Full PPR, DJ Moore, Gallup, or Mecole Hardman. I would go with DJ Moore. Mostert or McLaurin. I would go with probably Mostert. PPR flex, pick 1, Connor, Gaskin, Mike Evans, Will Fuller. In PPR, I think you can go with Evans there, but I can make an argument for any of those guys. So it's tough. Claypool or Hollywood. I think that you can go with Claypool there. It's close, though. Amari Cooper or DJ Chark. Lots of uncertainty with the Cowboys, and they have a tough matchup. I wouldn't call it a tough matchup per se, but I understand what the numbers are saying. I would probably go with Chark and just hope that game shoots out, which it easily could. Standard flex, Woods, Gibson, or Cooks. In a standard league, I would probably go with Gibson. I really like Antonio Gibson today. Eric Ebron or Dalton Schultz or Jimmy Graham. I think I would go with Eric Ebron. Half PPR, Preston Williams or Robert Tonyan. Probably lean Preston Williams. I mean, I love Tonyan, but I don't think he's going to maintain his touchdown pace at all. PPR Superflex, T. Higgins or Jimmy G. Bye week hell for me. I would still go with Jimmy G. Standard scoring, Travis Fulgham or Christian Kirk. I would just go with Fulgham. I know that the matchup's not there, but you got to hope that he can build off of what he did last week. Standard flex, one from Swift, Judy, or Debo. I kind of low-key like Jerry Jeudy this week. Main reason why, you got Gilmore on the outside. I believe Gilmore's playing. You got Gilmore on the outside. They've been actually not roasted, but a lot of teams are targeting the slot against New England. Jerry Jeudy's played a good bit in the slot this year. I don't mind him. I think I would go there because Debo gets a tough matchup. Swift, his utilization's all over the place. I might go Jeudy there, especially, Hamler's out. So maybe we see him move around the field a little bit more than usual. But even still, I think that he could be peppered with targets. Half PPR, Phillip Lindsay, DJ Chark if he goes. So some of these questions I'm assuming came before 11:30. I think you can go with Lindsay for a floor, but I would probably still play Chark overall. Hi, JJ. Thanks for doing this. Which side in half PPR? CEH, DJ Moore, Brian Hill, Chris Carson. I don't know if this is a trade or a start sit. So hit me up on Twitter for that one, at Late Round QB. Crowder or Scary Terry in my flex. I think that Crowder probably has the floor. I might go with him there. Need one between Mixon, Sanders, and Gaskin. I mean, I guess I would go with Mixon because of Sanders' matchup, but if it's I guess I'm leaning that way. PPR flex, Chark, Hardman. I don't trust Chark's health. I would still go with Chark. Irv Smith or Ebron. I would go with Ebron. Edmonds or Kirk in the flex. I think Edmonds is a little bit safer. Robbie Anderson, Darrell Henderson, Gibson, or Singletary, pick 2. I would go with Gibson and Robbie. James Washington or Damian Harris. I'd go with Damian Harris, but I do think James Washington is a very intriguing sleeper this week. Full PPR need to start 2. Antonio Gibson, Devontae Parker, Claypool, McLaurin, Devontae Freeman. I think I'd go with the first 2. 10-team standard, pick 3. As somehow every week I pick, I'm picking 3, I guess, out of these 5. Madison, CEH, Gibson, David Johnson, Gaskin, Drake, Edmonds. I'm going Madison, I'm going Gaskin, and CEH. Connor or David Johnson in half PPR. I would go with Connor. Will Fuller or Amari Cooper in standard. It's close. I think I would probably go with Fuller still, but yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of volatility to the Cowboys offense with Andy Dalton starting. Tannehill versus Dalton, I would go with Tannehill. Hollywood versus Lamb, I think I would go with again, it's depends on how much you want to take on, how much risk you want to take on with Andy Dalton starting. I can make a case for either guy, so nothing strong there. No strong feeling there. Visca or Judy. I mentioned I like Judy earlier, but I would go with Visca over him this week just because the matchup's awesome. Connor, Jonathan Taylor, or Miles Sanders in PPR. I think that you can still go with Miles Sanders. I love Jonathan Taylor today, but if it's a PPR league, Sanders should see like a 15% target share. Cousins, Cam, or Tannehill. I would go with probably Cam, but maybe Tannehill. PPR, Hollywood or Robert Woods. Man, these are tough today. You guys are crushing me. I'd go with Robert Woods, I guess. Hey, JJ, for my running back spot, start Cam Akers, Jerick McKinnon, or LaMichael Pirine. Also for the flex, Ayuk or any of those running backs, full PPR. I would go with Akers and Pirine. Or, sorry, Akers and McKinnon. I didn't realize that. You got to just kind of wait and see how they utilize Pirine. Hey, JJ, thanks for doing this. Choose one for the flex PPR, Kenyon Drake, AJ Brown, DJ Chark, Robbie Anderson, or Jamison Crowder. If I'm picking one of those, I guess I'm going to AJ Brown. Need 3 out of Mike Evans, Will Fuller, Jamison Crowder, Robert Woods, and Juju. Thanks for doing this. So I don't mind Juju today because Cleveland's been destroyed against the slot. I know that they, the personnel-wise, they haven't been totally healthy, but they have been bad against slot players. So I don't mind Juju, but even of those 3, I would go with the first 3. Hey, JJ, love the pod. Thanks. Half PPR, pick 2. Kenyon Drake, Damian Harris, Jerry Jeudy, T. Higgins. I would go with Drake and probably Harris for a floor, but I think that you can make a case for both Jeudy and Higgins. Gibson or A.J. Brown. If it's a PPR league, like you're noting, I would go with A.J. Brown. Gore or AP. I guess I would go with Peterson because I think that there's more scoring opportunity there. Drop Sterling Shepard, Josh Kelly, or Mike Williams. Depends on what you need. I would rather have Mike Williams than Sterling Shepard right now, I think. So if you want to drop a wide receiver, go that route. If you want to drop a running back, then obviously there's only one choice there. Chark, Lamb, or Higgins in PPR. I would probably go with Chark. Philip Lindsay versus Miles Sanders. Follow-up question. Have you considered Miles is playing Baltimore? Thanks, JJ. You're the best. Yeah, I've considered that Miles Sanders is playing Baltimore. I would go with Miles Sanders over Philip Lindsay. Play 2 of Woods, Robbie Anderson, and Cooper in standard. Probably go with Cooper and Woods, I guess. But I think you can make a case for Robbie. I don't really have a strong opinion there. McLaurin or Justin Jefferson? My head is saying Justin Jefferson right now because of the McLaurin matchup. I think that McLaurin is probably a safer option, but Justin Jefferson gives you a higher ceiling. Someone is saying, is basically spamming the chat now. Morning, JJ. Love the show. Thanks. Need to bench 1. Half PPR, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt, Madison, or James Robinson. Need to bench 1. I guess I would bench. I'm not benching Madison. I think that you can make the case for James Robinson to be benched, even though he's in a very, very good spot. But I think Madison is the clear RB1 of that group, if that helps. DJ Moore, CD, or Ertz in half PPR. I think you can go with Lamb. Who should I start in my flex? Edelman or Travis Fulgham? I would go with Edelman. Lindsey or Drake in my PPR work league. I think that I might lean Lindsey because Drake hasn't been seeing that much work through the air if it's a PPR league. But I do think Drake obviously has the matchup and touchdown equity there. But Lindsey should see a pretty big workload today. Mixon, Sanders, Connor, bench 1. Man, you guys, how do you guys have these like 3 RB1s on your team and you're trying to bench one? This is a standard league. I think Connor has enough touchdown equity in this game. I might bench Sanders of those 3 in a standard league. Start 2 in PPR. Edmonds, Lindsey, Gallup. I would bench Gallup. Talk me out of starting both Claypool and Crowder over Sanders this week. Sanders is going to give you a better floor. I mean, I understand if you want to play those guys. I think they have just as high, if not a higher ceiling. Stafford, Tannehill, or Big Ben. I would go with Stafford of those 3. Juju or Fuller, I would go with Fuller. Morning, JJ. Thanks for everything. Tanyan or Hearst in PPR. I think I would go with Tanyan. Just jumped forward a little bit. Hold on just a second. Sorry, guys. It randomly jumps forward in my chat, so I got to scroll back up. Unknown health, Julio Jones or Crowder. I would go with Julio Jones. Fitzpatrick or Tannehill. I would go with Tannehill. Sit one, full PPR. Godwin, Crowder, Fuller, Thielen, Cooper. How are these your wide receivers, people? How is this possible? If I'm sitting one of them, I guess I'm sitting Cooper or Crowder, I guess. I don't have a strong opinion here. Antonio Gibson or Kenyon Drake. I would go with Antonio Gibson. I actually have the exact same question in one of my leagues. Half PPR Fuller or Hollywood. I would go with Fuller over Hollywood. Half PPR flex Mark Ingram, Demir Bird, Mike Boone. I think I'd still go with Ingram there. David Johnson or Antonio Gibson. Thanks, JJ. I would go with Antonio Gibson. I love Antonio Gibson today. Sorry if you guys can hear a motorcycle outside. One of my neighbors is apparently going out on his motorcycle right now. There we go. Pick 3 PPR Robinson. This is Allen Robinson, I'm assuming. Fuller, Cup, Chark, Galladay. I'm definitely playing Galladay. I'm playing Allen Robinson, and I would play Will Fuller. So I'm benching Cooper Kupp and DJ Chark. How do you guys have these teams? PPR flex, Juju or Lindsey. I would go with Juju over Lindsey, I think, since the PPR league. Thielen or Galladay. I would probably lean Galladay. I just love his touchdown upside today. Is a great cornerback matchup. Darrell Henderson or Damian Harris. I think I'd still go with Henderson. A.J. Brown, Robbie Anderson, Fuller, or Parker. I'm picking 2. I'm going Fuller and Brown, I guess. Half PPR flex 3. Kirk, Edelman, Cooks, Damian Harris, Hollywood Land. Hit me up on Twitter with that one. There's too many guys. McKissick or Ingram. Love your analysis. Appreciate it. In a PPR league, I would still go with Ingram. Robbie Anderson, Devontae Parker, Chris Godwin, pick 2. I guess I'm going to go with Parker and Godwin. But again, I think Godwin's locked in. Got to play him. It's between Robbie and Parker. I think it's really close. Start McLaurin over MVS. Yeah, I would play McLaurin over MVS. DJ Moore or Crowder. I would go with Crowder. Ebron or Hearst. I would go with Ebron. Hey, JJ, full PPR, Kirk or T.Y. Hilton. I would go with T.Y. Hilton. Hollywood or Kenyon Drake. If you need a ceiling, I think Hollywood's your guy. Half PPR, pick 2, Cooks, Kirk, or Chark. I would bench Christian Kirk. Hi, JJ, no question. Just wanted to say thank you for what you do in the fantasy community and for the cutest. Thanks for tuning in on this week's mailbag show. Yeah, I hope you guys like that with my daughter letting everyone know that she's thanking them for tuning in. Schultz or Irv Smith in PPR. Irv is a sleeper. He finally ran more routes than Kyle Rudolph, significantly more than what we've seen in the past. Had a decent target share. Still a sleeper, though, because we need to see that consistent work. I would still go with Schultz, I think. Standard scoring league, DeAndre Swift, Jarvis Landry, Travis Fulgham. I'd go with Landry. Lindsey, Gaskin, DJ Moore, AJB. Pick 3, I would bench more of those 3. Pick 2, McLaurin, Gibson, Kupp, Gaskin. I think I would go with Gaskin and Gibson. Honestly, if I'm going to lean the running backs there for the floor. Singletary or Gibson in PPR. I like Gibson more. Need a dart throw defense. Lions, Jets, or Vikings. I'd go with the Vikings. Minshew or Tannehill. I would go with Tannehill. Preston Williams or Tim Patrick. I'm going Preston Williams. Finally saw that uptick in target share this past week. Hey, JJ, thanks for tuning in. DJ Moore or Crowder. Half PPR, I like Crowder. Claypool and Cash. Yeah, you can play Claypool and Cash. Someone says, JJ, are you alive? I hope I'm alive. OBJ or Juju. I'm leaning OBJ. Pick 2, Davis, Gaskin, Madison, Mostert. I'm assuming that's Mike Davis. I'd go with Mike Davis and Madison there. Hardman or Chark. I'd go Chark. Brait or Burton. I love Trey Burton today. He's my favorite cheap tight end over on FanDuel, $4,700. Love him as a streamer. No Mo Alley Cox. Trey Burton, pretty good play. Stafford, I say pretty good, but it's in the context of the tight end position. Stafford, Cousins, or Dalton, I would go Stafford. Any last-minute deep waiver pickups to stash today? I would just look at backup running backs, like a Brian Hill type. How healthy is Julio Jones or Jamison Crowder? I would play Julio over Crowder, I think, just because that game has a lot of upside. But I'd try to find a way to get Crowder into my lineup. Jefferson, McLaurin, or Chark in PPR. That's very difficult. I probably would go Jefferson. Someone just asked the exact same question. Myles Gaskin or CeeDee Lamb? I think Gaskin has the floor. Burrow or Foles? I would go with Burrow. Thoughts on James Conner this week, rest of season? I think that he's, maybe a high-end RB2 rest of season. They're not utilizing him as much. over the last few weeks. He's basically seen his market share of that backfield go down and down every week. But I think that he's fine. He should be a high-end RB2, and he has a lot of touchdown upside. Cup or Gibson in half PPR. I think you can go with Gibson. Gibson, DJ Moore, or Hollywood PPR. Pick one between Gibson and Hollywood for me. Tanyan or Hearst, already answered that one. I'm going, or maybe I didn't. I think I'm going Tanyan, though. Brandon Cooks or T. Higgins, I'm going Brandon Cooks. Preston Williams or Tim Patrick, already answered that one. I'm going Preston Williams. Chark or Claypool. I think you can make the case to go with Claypool just because Chark's coming off the injury. Crowder or Hollywood, I'm going Crowder. Steelers D or Pats D. Probably go with the Pats D. I think it's a little bit safer. Jefferson, Hollywood, or Claypool. I think I might have just answered that one. Maybe not. I'd probably go with Claypool there, but it's very close. James White or Phillip Lindsay. I would go with Phillip Lindsay. If you had to cut one rest of season, Justin Jackson, Cam Akers, or Phillip Lindsay, need a spot for a linebacker in IDP. Oh my goodness, probably Justin Jackson, but I would hate to get rid of him right now after his usage last week. Hollywood, Cup, or DJ Moore in PPR. I'd probably go Cup. Minshew or Ryan in half PPR. I don't know why the half PPR matters, but I think Ryan could have a bounce back day today. I'm probably leaning him. I know he's been horrible, but Julio's back. Beatable matchup. High scoring game potential. I'm leaning Ryan. Cam Newton or Matthew Stafford. I'm going Matthew Stafford. I think he's just a little bit safer. Cousins or Allen, Shenault or Kirk. Okay, I'm going to go with Allen over Cousins, and I'm going to go with Laviska Shenault over Christian Kirk. PPR, James White or Kenyon Drake. I think Drake has a higher ceiling. I'd probably go with him. Hayden Hurst, Ebron, or Irv Smith. Probably go with Ebron. Definitely go with Ebron. Cam Newton or Lamar Jackson. I'd go with Lamar. Half PPR flex, Darrell Henderson, Damian Harris. I think Henderson probably is a little bit safer because his receiving work is there. Damian Harris might not see a target today. Ebron or Hearst, I'd probably go with Ebron. Definitely go with Ebron. Foles or Drew Lock and Superflex, I'd probably go with Foles. Hope for the best. Which one would I pick rest of season? Drew Lock. Edmonds or Phillip Lindsay in PPR, I would go with Lindsay. Lindsay, Gaskin, DJ Moore, AJ Brown. I'm benching more probably of those. Freeman, Mixon, Harris, full PPR. Who do I sit? I would sit Harris probably. Cam or Fitz and full PPR, Jefferson or Boyd. I love Jefferson today, so I'd probably lean his way and I'd go with Cam. Do you start Julio today? Yes. Ryan or Cousins, full PPR. Well, since it's full PPR, I'm just kidding. I'd probably go with Ryan over Cousins, but I think it's close. Burton, Irv Smith, or Croft. I would go with Burton. I like Burton today. Robbie Anderson, Chris Godwin, Devontae Parker, bench one. I mean, it's between. I think you got to start Godwin in what should be a high-scoring game. Robbie Anderson doesn't have that great of a matchup. It's between him and Parker. Not a strong feel either way because Robbie should see a ton of looks as he's seen all season long. I think Robbie's safer at least. Edelman or Ingram, I'd go Edelman. Burrow or Foles, I would go with Joe Burrow. I lost my spot again, so I'm going to scroll up. 12-team standard, Mixon or Preston Williams in the flex. You're definitely going Mixon there. Fitzmagic or Tannehill, I would go with Tannehill. Hollywood or Singletary, probably lean Hollywood. McLaurin or Hardman, I would go with McLaurin. Pick two, half point. Chark, Juju, Moore, Kirk. I would go with Chark and Juju, I think. Again, Juju has a slot matchup that I like. No Deontay Johnson. I think he could have a decent game. David Montgomery or Jonathan Taylor. So Jordan Wilkins is playing, it sounds like, which sucks for Jonathan Taylor a little bit. I think Taylor's probably the play, but I could go either way. I think David Montgomery is a way better value over on FanDuel this week. Cousins or Minshew. I'm leaning Cousins. Non-PPR, pick three. Slayton, Cooks, Moore, Landry, Hollywood, Boyd. I guess I'm going to go with Hollywood, Slayton, and Boyd. Chark or DJ Moore. I would go with Chark. Still drop Dalton Schultz for TJ Hawkinson. Yeah, I want TJ Hawkinson over Dalton Schultz. McLaurin, Juju, Hollywood, Fuller, Crowder, sit one. Of those guys, I am sitting. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. You guys are giving me the toughest questions easily of the year this week. This is unbelievable. Gibson or Gaskin, half PPR, seems like a toss-up. Yeah, I think it's a toss-up. I think Gaskin is probably a little bit safer. But I do love me some Antonio Gibson this week. Visca or Justin Jefferson, love the pod. Leaning Justin Jefferson there. Allen or Rodgers, probably go with Allen. Thanks for all that you do. You're welcome, man. Your knowledge and advice is second to none. I really appreciate that, Greg. McLaurin or Hardman, I already answered that one, I believe. McLaurin's the guy. Edmonds or Lindsay, I'd go Lindsay. Goff or Minshew, I'd probably go with Minshew. Cousins or Fitzpatrick, I think I'd go Cousins. David Johnson or Mixon, I'd go Mixon. Crowder or Gibson. And PPR, I think you can go Crowder. McLaurin or Hardman, already answered that one. DJ Chark or Lindsay in the flex. Lindsay's going to give you a better floor. Pick 2, half point. Chark, Juju, Moore, Kirk. I think I already answered that one. I'm going Chark and Juju. Cup or Chark. I think I'd go with Cup. Tanyan or Hawkinson, full PPR. I think I like Hawkinson a little bit more today. Half PPR, start MVS over McLaurin. No, I would not do that. I know the matchup is tough for McLaurin, but I'd still go with him. Ingram or Tanyan. I think I would go with Tanyan, just given the way Ingram's been used. But Ingram's seen a decent target share. He's just seeing a low average at the target. He's running like the same routes over and over again. It's a really not creative offense that Jason Garrett's running right now. But I think that I would lean. So as a result, I would probably lean Tanyan's way. Damian Harris or DeAndre Swift. I think I'd go Harris. Juju or Crowder. I would go with Crowder over Juju. McLaurin or Preston Williams in half PPR. I would go with McLaurin. Cam Akers or Jerick McKinnon. As much as I think Cam Akers could have a nice week this week, I'm going to go with McKinnon. We have these stacked teams because of the 15 transactions article. Thank you. I appreciate that. Crowder or McLaurin. I would go with Crowder there. You are awesome. We all appreciate you, dude. I'm winning because of you. No, you're winning because of you. You're the one who's managing this team. I'm just this idiot who gets in front of a microphone every Sunday morning and helps answer some start-sit questions. Humphreys or Cole. I would probably go with Humphreys because it's the DJ Chark injury and the fact that he's playing. Jarvis or Henderson. If it's a PPR league, I think you can go with Jarvis there. Half PPR, Damian Harris or DeAndre Swift. I'd probably go with Damian Harris there. I need 2 to start. Pirine, Gesicki, Kirk, or Dobbins. Finally, there's one that's like a real life example of not a stacked team. I'd go Gesicki and Kirk there, but I love that you have Pirine because I think that we could see him with a decent or a bigger workload than expected starting today. Love the pod, JJ. Undefeated since finding your podcast. Wow, that's awesome. Half PPR, James Robinson. I love that you have James Robinson and Jonathan Taylor, 2 guys that I liked a lot this offseason. But I would go with James Robinson over Jonathan Taylor this week. I just think he's in a good spot. Henderson or Higgins. I'm leaning in a PPR league, maybe Higgins. Moss, Akers, Gore, pick 1. I think Gore's the safest pick, but I might go with Akers and just risk it because of Sean McVay talking up Akers last week and saying he would get a bigger workload this week. Mike Boone or Matt Breida in PPR. I'd risk it with Mike Boone. Just see how, he might see 10 touches today. Finally, some questions, though, that aren't just like stud players. Baker, Jimmy, or Foles. There we go. I love this. I'd go with, I might risk it with Baker of those 3. The Steelers secondary is beatable. It's more beatable than people realize. Their front, that's tough. But at least Cleveland has a good offensive line that might be able to stop that front. Visca, Harris, or Justin Jefferson in half PPR. I would go with Justin Jefferson. Gaskin or Mostert. I'd go Gaskin. Half PPR, choose 2. Jefferson, Claypool, Joe Mixon. That's really tough. Joe Mixon, I think that you got to put in your lineup just because of the floor and his usage the last couple of weeks. So it's down to Jefferson and Claypool. Earlier I said Claypool, but I think you can make the argument easily that Justin Jefferson's the play, but I think I would go with Claypool. Madison, a good play today? No, he's not a good play today. He's a great play today. That was my Simon Cowell impression. Terry McLaurin or Robert Woods. I'd probably go with Woods slightly. Robert Woods or Chase Claypool in PPR. It's a toss-up for me. Aaron Rodgers or Lamar today. That's another toss-up. I think I might lean Rodgers. McLaurin, Gallup, Hardman, Fuller, pick 3. I am benching Hardman of those guys. Chark or Scary Terry in PPR. I would go with Chark. Cousins, McLaurin safer. Chark obviously has the injury. I should throw that caveat out there. Cousins or Allen, Chenault or Kirk. I think I already answered this one. But I would go with Allen, Chenault. Do I sit Lamar for Fitz? I'm kind of tilting. I mean, I think a lot of people are tilting who have Lamar Jackson, but I would still play him this week. James Washington or Higgins. I'm assuming this is T. Higgins and not Rashard Higgins. I would go with Higgins, I think. Although I like James Washington as a sleeper this week. Jonnu Smith or TJ Hawkinson. I'd go with Jonnu. Chark or CD Lamb. I think Lamb's safer, but I think Chark has the ceiling. Let's see. PPR flex, Drake or Chark. Thanks, JJ. I'm leaning Chark there. Half PPR, pick 2, Moore, Lamb, Slayton, Chenault. Thanks. I am going with Chenault I'm going with Slayton and Lamb there. Edmonds or Preston Williams in the flex, half PPR. I would probably go with Williams as a ceiling. Edmonds is more of a floor. Minshew or Goff. Also, I'd probably go with Edmonds also, by the way, Eric. Minshew or Goff, also playing Chark and James Robinson. I think that you can just go with Minshew. I think he's a better play, but I think it's close enough. So if you want to diversify a little bit, if you're a favorite, let's say, go with Goff. If not, and you need to go with that team stack, then go with Minshew. Better bench stash, pick 2. P. Ryan, Jamal Williams, and Moss. I would go with P. Ryan and Moss. Need 2 of Robert Woods, Fuller, CeeDee Lamb. I would go with Fuller and probably Woods. Pick 2 PPR, Juju, Cooks, or Claypool, starting Ridley as the number 1. Leaning Juju and Claypool. I think that's fine. PPR, Edelman versus Boyd. I would go with Boyd. Start 2, Mostert, Gaskin, Jonathan Taylor. I would go with Gaskin and Jay Taylor. Someone said, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Whatever I'm saying on here, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Gibson or DJ Moore in PPR. I would go with Gibson. Stafford, 6-point touchdown pass. I think I'm going to go with Stafford there, Matt. OBJ or Parker in flex, half PPR. I think Parker's a little bit safer. Living the Stream, baby. Yeah, I love it. Living the Stream, my other podcast. Where do you rank Godwin off the injury? I think that he's a low-end wide receiver 1 today. Half PPR, Damian Harris or Chase Edmonds. I would lean Harris. Since I'm going to lean Edmonds. I don't like my running backs not seeing volume through the air. I think Harris is fine as like an RB2, but I think Edmonds is just a safer floor, given his target share each week. Lindsey or Crowder, I think I would still go with Crowder. David Johnson or Amari Cooper, I'd go Cooper. Hooper or Hearst, or do I just go full dumpster and go with Burton or Irv Smith? Look, I think I like Burton more than those guys this week, but you might have to drop one of them, and I wouldn't want to drop one of them for Burton. Look, Mo Alley Cox is out. They have a good matchup. They have a high implied team total. I really like Burton as a streamer this week. Amari Cooper or Mixon in standard, I'd go Mixon. David Johnson or Justin Jefferson, I'd probably go with Justin Jefferson since this is a PPR league. Tannehill or Stafford in 6-point touchdown, lean Stafford. Full PPR, Cooper or David Johnson, I would go with Cooper. Freeman or Montgomery, non-PPR, I would go with Montgomery. Matt Ryan versus Andy Dalton in 4-point. I think it's close. I think Matt Ryan would probably be the play just because, safety-wise, it's still Andy Dalton on primetime. Justin Jefferson or Hollywood Brown. I think Justin Jefferson's a little bit better of a play, but I do like Hollywood this week, as I do every week. Big Ben or Cam Newton, and thank you for all the hard work in the late round podcast. Thanks for listening, Anthony. I'd probably go with Cam there. David Johnson, Lamb, AJ Brown, Chark. I'm picking 2. I would go with Brown and Chark. Where's the best place to get stats for free? In particular, number of routes run and defenses versus position. You can get them all over the place. We have some stuff over on numberfire.com. A lot of routes run information I cite from Pro Football Focus. Gaskin or Chenault in half PPR. I would lean Gaskin for that floor. Tight end premium, Hawkinson or Kirk in the flex. I would go with Hawkinson. Chenault Jr. versus Philip Lindsay, half PPR flex. I think I'd go with Lindsay, just give you that floor. Pick 2, half PPR, Marvin Jones, Damian Harris, or Hawkinson. I think that you can go with Harris, and then, Marvin Jones hasn't seen that big of a target share since Galladay's come back, but I do think that it's one of those situations where it might just be randomness and variance. I don't mind Marvin Jones today, so I'd probably lean him there. Matty Ice or Tannehill, I would go with Tannehill. Burton or Jonnu Smith. I'm still going with Jonnu Smith. Don't get me wrong, guys. I like Burton as a streamer, not over a fringe top 5 or a top 5 tight end. Pick 2, Goodwin. I'm assuming that's Godwin, Crowder, Claypool. I'd go with Godwin and Crowder, but obviously love Claypool. Dalton Schultz or Trey Burton. If you want to live on the edge a little bit and have some fun, I'd go with Trey Burton. Dalton Schultz is no lock without Dak Prescott. PPR start, wide receiver and a flex. DJ Moore, Slayton, Keelan Cole, or AP need upside. If you need upside, I'd go with Slayton there. And then a flex, I'd go DJ Moore. JJ, I'm worried about the shadow coverage Terry McLaurin might see this week. Pick 1 flex in standard league. McLaurin, Gibson, Hollywood, Brown. Look, if you're worried about it, that's fine. I think that you can make a case to go with Gibson there, given his workload this past week. I've just a couple more questions, then I got to head out. Godwin or OBJ in the flex. I think I'd lean Godwin. Swift or Fulgham for my flex. I'd probably lean Fulgham. Shenault or Swift. I'd go Shenault. Titans defense or the Washington defense. I would go with the Washington defense. I like Washington. I like New York in that same game, and I like Miami this week as my streamers. Last question, Schultz or Gesicki? I am going to go with Mike Gesicki. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question this week. If you want to ask that question, I'll try to answer it over on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at LateRoundQB. Make sure you subscribe to the FanDuel channel here on YouTube because we are live multiple times per week. And I'll be back here on Tuesday for a waiver wire show. And then obviously next Sunday for start sits. Good luck, though, here in week 6.